Last week, hundreds of container ships stopped outside the Strait of Hormuz. The alternate route around Africa adds 3 weeks at sea. Fresh milk does not survive 3 weeks. Meat does not survive 3 weeks. But somewhere in those containers sits a product that does not care. Powdered milk. It lasts for years without refrigeration. It was designed for exactly this, the moment supply lines collapse and time turns against everything perishable. Over 70% of developing nations depend on it to feed children. And the reason it exists comes down to one problem. Milk contains protein, and protein dies when it meets heat. Heat is the only way to dry it. That contradiction has haunted dairy science for 2 centuries. The earliest attempts used roller drying. Workers poured milk onto heated drums that spun slowly, cooking the liquid into a thin film scraped off as flakes. The heat was direct and prolonged. Proteins denatured. Sugars caramelized. The result was yellowish powder that tasted burnt and dissolved poorly. Children fed on early milk powder still showed signs of malnutrition. In 1872, Samuel Percy patented a different idea: spray the milk into hot air instead of pressing it against a hot surface. Smaller droplets, faster drying, less time for heat to destroy anything. The concept was sound, but the equipment did not exist. It took 30 years before Robert Stauff built a working spray dryer and another 6 years before engineers discovered that spraying condensed milk instead of raw milk produced far better results. Then the Second World War arrived and demand exploded. The military needed dairy that weighed nothing and survived jungle heat. A brand called Klim milk, spelled backward, became a staple in army rations. It kept for years in sealed cans, but soldiers had a name for what it tasted like mixed with water. Chalk water. Every improvement in shelf life came at the cost of flavor. The protein problem was still unsolved. A modern milk powder factory solves that problem by racing against it. The entire process is a controlled sprint to remove water before heat has time to kill what makes milk taste like milk. Raw milk arrives by tanker and is immediately tested, pasteurized, and standardized for fat content. Then it enters a vacuum evaporator. Inside pressure is reduced so that water boils at 65 to 70 degrees Celsius instead of 100. This is the first defense. Milk proteins begin denaturing at 72 degrees. Every step in this factory stays below that line. The evaporator removes roughly half the water, turning fluid milk into a thick concentrate with about 45 to 50% solids. The concentrate is pumped to the spray dryer. This is where the paradox lives. The machine is a tower, several stories tall. At the top, an atomizer spins at up to 20,000 revolutions per minute, shattering the concentrate into billions of droplets, each measuring 10 to 200 micrometers across, smaller than the width of a human hair. These droplets fall into a stream of air heated to 180 to 200 degrees Celsius. 200 degrees should destroy everything. But it does not. Because the droplets are so small and so wet, the water on their surface evaporates instantly. And that evaporation absorbs the heat before it reaches the protein inside. The droplet's internal temperature never exceeds 70 degrees. The air is 200. The milk is 70. Speed is the only thing standing between intact protein and dead protein. The entire drying process takes 5 to 20 seconds. What falls to the bottom of the tower is a fine white powder with 3 to 5% residual moisture. It passes through a fluid bed dryer for final conditioning, then into packaging. Sealed properly, this powder lasts years without refrigeration. Skim powder stays usable for a decade in cool storage. 1 kilogram of powder reconstitutes into approximately 8 liters of milk. The protein is intact. The calcium is intact. The vitamins survive. all because the water left before the heat arrived. The scale of what that process feeds is staggering. New Zealand alone exports $9.7 billion of milk powder every year. That is 14% of the entire country's export revenue. 95% of all milk produced in New Zealand is processed for export, most of it as powder. China takes 30%. Southeast Asia and the Middle East take growing shares. Globally, the milk powder market approaches $270 billion. More than 70% of developing nations rely on imported milk powder for basic nutrition. For millions of families, this powder is not a substitute for fresh milk. It is the only milk that exists. Here is where the story turns. That paradox inside the spray dryer, 200-degree air that never burns, the milk has a name: evaporative cooling. The same principle that keeps your skin cool when you step out of a pool on a hot day. Water absorbs heat as it evaporates, shielding whatever is underneath. Each droplet is wrapped in a microsecond of evaporation that acts as a thermal shield. The moment the water is gone, the particle is dry light and falling away from the heat. It never gets the chance to burn, and that is what you taste the next time you dissolve milk powder in water. Next time you stir powder into a glass, watch how it behaves. If the powder disperses quickly and the liquid tastes clean, the proteins survived. The drying was fast enough. The droplets were small enough. The heat never reached the inside. If the powder clumps resists dissolving and leaves a faintly cooked taste on the back of your tongue, something went wrong. Too much heat. Too slow. The proteins collapsed and lost the ability to bond with water the way intact proteins do. You are not tasting freshness or staleness. You are tasting the difference between protein that passed through 200-degree air and survived, and protein that did not. Every grain in your glass fell through a tower as a droplet smaller than a hair dried in under 20 seconds and landed whole. That is what dissolves. That is what you drink. Right now, ships sit outside a strait that may not reopen for weeks. Fresh food on board is dying. The powder is not. It was made for this. It has always been made for this. That's the process. We reveal how things actually work, one story at a time. If there's something you'd like us to explore next, let us know. Until then, trust the process.